But tonight, we will continue on the book of Exodus. Okay? We'll just talk about lessons on leadership. Maybe the subtitle is Leadership and Family. Okay, leadership and family. Now, we finished chapter 16 last week. In chapter 17, if you will just look at your Bible, once again, as usual, Israel is complaining. It has been their native language or one of their dialects to complain when they have a problem. This time they needed water. So they went back to old habit, blame Moses, blame God in the process. They thought that they can manipulate God's answer to prayer by complaining. It's like our children. They think that when they complain, then they can manipulate the policies or the rules that their parents brings in their house. And some of them really work, you know. Sometimes kids say, I'm not going to eat, or I'm not going to do this. And so parents surrender. The people of Israel are the same. God told Moses to strike the rock for water to come out, and it did. This they tried the Lord in Massah and Meribah, very famous story. After that is the story of the Amalekites' attack on Israel and the ensuing victory that God gave them. That is the story of Moses being on a cliff, and he raised his hands, and Aaron and Hur held his hands, and for as long as his hands are raised, they are winning. So you can make all kinds of sermon based on that. But that's chapter 17. So let's move on to chapter 18, okay? We'll talk about leadership and family. Chapter 18, verse 1. I just want to touch on chapter 17 because I feel awkward not touching that. So now it's done. That's a quick chapter 17 sermon. Chapter 18. Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian, heard about everything that God had done for Moses and for God's people, Israel, when the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt. I smell gas. Do you guys smell gas? No, okay, it's just me. Maybe my nose smells gas, you know. Now Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, had taken in Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back, along with her 2 sons, one of whom was named Gershom, because Moses had said, I have been a resident alien in a foreign land. And the other Eleazar, because he had said, the God of my father was my helper and rescued me from Pharaoh's sword. Moses' father-in-law Jethro, along with Moses' wife and sons, came to him in the wilderness where he was camped at the mountain of God. He sent word to Moses, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons. So, sinasoli yung pamilya niya, okay? Maybe he said, I've been feeding them for so long. Now you feed them, okay? What verse is that? 7. So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, bowed down, and then kissed him. They asked each other how they had been and went into the tent. Moses recounted to his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardships that confronted them on the way, and how the Lord rescued them. Jethro rejoiced over all the good things the Lord had done for Israel when he rescued them from the power of the Egyptians. Blessed be the Lord, Jethro exclaimed, who rescued you from the power of Egypt and from the power of Pharaoh, who has rescued the people from under the power of Egypt. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, because he did wonders when the Egyptians acted arrogantly against Israel. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God, and Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat a meal with Moses' father-in-law in God's presence. The next day, Moses sat down to judge the people, and they stood around Moses from morning till evening. When Moses' father-in-law saw everything he was doing for them, he asked, "What is this you're doing for the people? Why are you alone sitting as judge while all people stand around you from morning until evening?" Moses replied to his father-in-law, "Because the people come to me to inquire of God. Whenever they have a dispute, it comes to me, and I make a decision between one man and another. I teach them God's statutes and laws. What you're doing is not good," Moses' father-in-law said to him. "You will certainly wear out both yourself and these people who are with you, because the task is too heavy for you. You can't do it alone. Now listen to me. I will give you some advice, and God be with you. You be the one to represent the people before God and bring their cases to Him. Instruct them about the statutes and laws, and teach them the way to live and what they must do." Look at that. Teach them the way to live and what they must do. That's part of leadership role. "But you should select from all the people able men, God-fearing, trustworthy, and hating dishonest profit. Place them over the people as commanders of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They should judge the people at all times. And they can bring you every major case, but judge every minor case themselves. In this way, you will lighten your load, and they will bear it with you. If you do this, and God so directs you, you will be able to endure, and also all these people will be able to go home satisfied." Now remember, Moses is over 80 years old here, okay? So he is doing all of this as a how do you call that? Super senior, okay? I just found out today that when you reach the age of 55 in Illinois, you're a senior. Yeah. Man, I'm a senior. And then when you are 65, you are super senior. Wow. I thought I'm not senior yet. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. So Moses chose able men from all Israel and made them leaders over the people as commanders of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They judged the people at all times. They would bring the hard cases to Moses, but they would judge every minor case themselves. Moses let his father-in-law go, and he journeyed to his own land. Now, let's talk about, this chapter focuses on the family, okay? So let's talk about the leader and his family. The first 4 verses of the text tell us a little bit about the family of Moses. Now, in the stories, the plagues and everything else, what is noticeable is, and the Exodus, the wife and the 2 sons of Moses were absent. And here we have the answer. Moses sent them to his father-in-law. Okay, now, Moses is about, and now remember, Moses is human. Moses is about to embark on a mission to set the people free. And the moment you take on a responsibility like that, it has family implications. He will be handling close to 3 million people, handling all kinds of cases, dealing with the most powerful man on the face of the earth, Pharaoh, and his generals. There will be wars, there will be conflicts. What am I going to do with my wife and my sons? His sons were young. So what did he do? He sent them back to Jethro and said, "Dad, I am going to do something. Can you please take care of my family?" Now that is a different take, okay? So I believe that because Moses knew the challenges that are going to face him as he leads Israel out of Egypt, he cannot imagine being able to do that with a growing family. Okay? There are, now, some of us are older now, there are certain things you cannot do and will not be able to do because of your family. Yeah. It may not be your own doing, and some people will take it personally, but it will be off limits to you because of your family. Now, some people are very weak to recognize that, and so they keep going in leadership situations. I mean, look at it this way. We have a president whose son is implicated in a Ukraine scandal and China scandal. The president of the U.S. right now is already handicapped because of that. Because you have that over your head simply because of his dealings with China and with Hunter Biden. Now, the foolish Americans who doesn't think it's okay. But it's not. Because, for example, if the case is true, then you have the country compromised. And so there are certain situations like that wherein it's very easy to pull out. Better to pull out. But pride will get in the way. Now, Moses knew that it will be very challenging to face Pharaoh and Exodus with this kind of family. Now, I don't know the faith level of Zipporah or his sons. Certainly, I can see from the scriptures that as far as his sons are concerned, they did not really follow after the footsteps of Moses. Proof, they were nowhere to be found, and their life were not as good as Moses. Now, Moses is one of those leaders who have the honesty to accept that. Maybe while growing up, Gershom and Merari were already hard-headed. How are you going to deal with two hard-headed boys? I do not know. I know how Zipporah is like. You know, the closest thing we know from Zipporah is the Ten Commandments by Cecil DeMille, which of course is based largely on extra-biblical writings. But that's about it, you know. Now, honestly speaking, if your family is not in order, it will be extremely difficult for you to handle any leadership position. You handle it, you're compromised. Yeah. It takes a lot of honesty and it takes a lot of loyalty to God and His people to be able to accept. Moses was just, okay, my kids are not really into what I'm teaching them, and I'm going to be leading these people. The task is true. Or maybe they are into it, but Moses, it didn't say the Lord told him to do this. Okay? Maybe it affected the way Gershom and Merari grew up and the way the wife handled it. You know, for example, that's hindsight. One of my regrets is I did not marry my wife before I entered seminary. Yeah. In fact, prior to that, I wish we were married before I even came to the U.S. Now, of course, that's not the will of God, but I just wish it, because you know why? She should have suffered with me. Yeah. Yeah. And that's as literal as it gets. Now, of course, she suffered a lot with me, but she should have suffered with me through those formative years of seminary education and leadership training. Why? Because she would, and there's a lot of things that my wife don't understand still about me. To this day. She may be the person who is closest to me, but she certainly do not understand a lot of things about me still. Now, there are some things that I don't understand about her. Like, it irks me when she says she grew up poor. I said, if you grew up poor, I'm a millionaire, you know? There's no more poor person. It's insulting to me when she says that they were poor. Very insulting to me. I mean, they will be the only poor family in the Philippines with a car, or 2 or 3 cars, you know, and maids. But for her, they are poor. That means that means she has a different level of poverty. If I take that level of poverty, then I am not poor. I'm just. It doesn't even reach the letter P. Okay, so there are some things about her that I do not understand. Now, compatibility 100% will never be achieved because of our different personalities. But take this. Your family will greatly affect your leadership. And so for some people who are very careless about their dating life and marriage life, don't be shocked if you lose your leadership. And there is nothing that you should blame about it. It's part of your choice. It's part of your decision. I thank God because of age limits. Meaning there comes a point, there is a time wherein I am responsible 100% for my kids. I will always be responsible for them to the day God takes me home. But there comes a point they become their own person. You know? Joseph is his own person. John is his own person. DJ is her own person. But I still exert a lot of influence over their lives. James and Joel, not yet. Okay. James is trying to, but not yet. I will not allow that yet. But all of that affects leadership. Now, some people are just so foolish to say, well, the Lord is fair and the Lord is good and the Lord is love. You have no idea what you're talking about. We're talking about leadership here. And we are talking about the family of God. Now, you look at the ultimate model, which is the family of God. God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Can you imagine God the Father telling God the Son, you boy, you die. Holy Spirit, as He offers Himself, you will be with Him. At that point, I will turn my face because you have been 100% perfectly holy, but when you bear the sins of the people, I will not be able to look at you at that moment of sacrifice. And they all agreed to it. And Jesus said this, no man can take my life away. I lay it down myself because I love my Father. I see what He is doing. That statement of Jesus, I see what He is doing, it's not just I see what He's doing. I know Him. This is what His heart is. And my heart is with Him. That is the perfect family that we're trying to copy. And so having said that, Moses in his best decision, he said, it is best that while I'm handling all of this, around 3 million people, I'm going to face the most powerful man on the face of the earth. I'm going to confront the most powerful nation on the face of the earth. It will be best if my 2 boys and my wife is not with me. What a decision. Now, can you imagine the kind of loneliness that Moses has to go through? Me, I can be upset, lonely. I go home, I have a wife that I can kiss and hug. I have kids that I can laugh with, play with. I have Joel that I can dance with, you know. And I have that. Moses doesn't have that. And what he has, we're a bunch of complainers, ungrateful people who doesn't have appreciation over what God is doing in their midst. Now take that when we begin to say, well, the life of Moses is very miraculous. That's one side. On the other hand, there are practical elements in leadership that you and I have to face. I told you, I have one candidate before for deaconship years ago, and I asked him, why do you want to be a deacon? And this is what he said, so that when you're out, I can preach. Thank God he was not elected, because that guy has a bad family. Okay. Can you imagine if you have a bad family and you're going to be preaching in this pulpit? Only fools will listen to you. I'll be perfectly honest. Or those who are compromised in their standards will listen to you. But I said before, morality is very important in terms of leadership, even if the world doesn't pay attention to it anymore. So here also we see the important role that in-laws can play. If the couple have good relationship with them. Can you imagine if Moses has a bad relationship with Jethro? Hey, dad-in-law or dad, I'm going to be doing all of this. Perhaps Jethro will say, you fool, you're shepherding my flock, you're doing well here in Midian, and you left. And now you're going to bring back my daughter with my 2 grandchildren. They are your family. Raise them yourself for a period of time. That must have been tough. But there was no complaint on the part of Jethro, which tells me that Moses was a very good son-in-law. Okay? And Zipporah has a very good relationship with her dad. Okay? Now that looks like a perfect situation to me. Some in-laws have problems. Others know how to handle it. Yeah. I'll tell you this. It is very important that you cannot control it. You have to love the person that you will marry. But critical will be also if the in-laws are believers or not. Can you imagine if Jethro is not a believer? He would rush and indoctrinate Zipporah and the 2 boys right away. You know, I cannot really assess my relationship with my in-laws. They're both gone now, but I have more encounter with my mother-in-law. I'll tell you this: when I was struggling in Virginia Beach, I told you about I will buy a loaf of bread, raisin bread, divide into 4 Monday to Thursday. One of my relief is when my mother-in-law will tell me, "Joe, come. Can you help me do the following things?" And I have that rotten car, and I'll drive for her, and she will always feed me. I see her complain in restaurants, you know, and but those are the things but she will call me, ask for something, and then she will always ask for my whereabouts, and even when they were with us, all right. Joseph will have a birthday, we will not have the resources, and her mom will finance the whole thing. Without my knowledge also, because my wife wastes a little bit of money that we have in calling overseas. Whenever we're fighting, her default is to call the Philippines. You know how expensive it is to call the Philippines back in those days? But she told me later that her dad, without my knowledge, okay, because I would never allow it had I been aware of it, her dad will send her money from time to time. And, you know, when I was courting my wife, he may not like me, but I'll tell you this. Well, may will be a wrong term. He doesn't like me, okay? But I'll tell you this. After we get married, I sense a level of support from him. In fact, had he stayed, I would probably have a radio ministry in the Philippines already, because he knows a lot of people there, and he was already beginning to work on putting me on radio. Because that's what I like. I don't like TV. I don't like people to see my face. But he was already working on telling my wife on how to help me possibly get into radio. Now that is a very short relationship, if you can call it a relationship, with my in-laws. My wife never really had developed a relationship with my father because she was here and my father died right away. But a very little relationship with my mother, and my mother likes her very much. In fact, my mother doesn't like it if I raise my voice on Anne. She will tell me, don't raise your voice on your wife, you know, because she thinks that my wife is the most wonderful thing that came out since popcorn was invented, you know. She really likes my my wife. And part of the reason is when I bring something for them from the U.S., My mother is a very shy person. She will tell me, oh, nakakahiya kay Ann. And I'll tell her, Nay, do you think I have something to do with those gifts? I said, I have no time to buy even my shirt. I said, it's Ann's doing. All of the gifts, the bags, the shirts, everything. I give due credit to Ann. Oh, really? So she feels at ease with my wife. But I'll tell you this, especially if your in-laws are godly. Now, if they are children of the devil, things may change. But if your in-laws are godly, you better cherish that. Because they can be a tremendous blessing to our marriage. Look at Jethro. I mean, if there is a model father-in-law, that is Jethro, you know. Maybe your father-in-law is named Jethro, but Jethro is the restaurant depot, right? That Ann chefs too. I hope we don't treat our in-laws like restaurant depot also, you know. You go to my friend Denny in Hawaii, he told me this. His in-laws are very godly, almost charter members of our church in the Philippines. He said they have a ref in the parsonage because their money was very little. It will be filled with plastic, with water. There's nothing. And his father-in-law will walk in, and he told me, Jose, you know, they don't ask for permission. They go directly to my ref. And the moment there's nothing in the ref, he said, Julie, how come there's nothing in the ref? And the father-in-law will leave, the mother-in-law will leave, and then come back with a bunch of groceries. And Pastor Kinsay told me this, that his in-laws had been tremendous source of blessing for him and for his family. So when you, the young people especially, when you consider marriage, you have to consider what kind of in-laws you're going to have. Are you going to have, or if you don't want to have, I mean, it's too bad if you don't want to have any relationship with your in-laws. That will be very ungodly. Because one of the obligations that we have is to pay our in-law, our parents, so that includes your spouse, of course, parents, honor them, it's the same as giving them money or substantial things, to pay debts of gratitude. Yeah. Now, that is a passage that a lot of married couples ignore. I have no obligations whatsoever financially. The Bible doesn't say it to my brothers and sisters. Okay? I have none. Especially when they're grown up, they should be thinking, I have none. You will not find it in the Bible, okay? My obligations to them is self-inflicted, meaning I love them, so I want to help them, if I can help them. But I have none, because I have my own family. My primary obligation is to my wife and to my children. If I have a piece of bread, and that's all I have, and my sister and my brother are starving, they will starve. But I will give it to Joel first, because he's the smallest, you know. It will not be to them. Because I understand my responsibility. Plus my kids are serving God. They will first get the blessings. And so, these are practical things that you will find in the scriptures. That's why in the Bible you will find that parents are very involved in their children getting married. Our society had made our parents not involved. I mean, for goodness sake, our kids are dating without our permission and without our knowledge. I think that is just totally wrong. You know, I told Joseph, I told John, you date and I'm the second person to know whom you are dating, because I'm not close-minded over this. If John tells me I want to date somebody in the church, I have no problem with that. You know, I'm gonna, I'm just gonna tell John, who is it? Let me see the parents first, you know. I have no problem. But say, for example, John goes crazy and he wants to date an unbeliever. I have to be the one to know it first. She will say, well, Papa, I'm going to date one of the devil's children, you know. So what do you think? I'm just going to cast him out. But I want to know because some parents, and you know this, some parents became unwillingly committed because of irresponsible children and in-laws. Because then, what are you going to do if they need something? You see? Humanity will dictate that we help. It will help helping other people. But that is because of irresponsibility. Okay? Not a lot of people have the strength of heart to handle certain things, you know. I'll tell you this. My brothers can come to me and say, Kuya, help. If they are lazy, I'll walk away. Never think about it. But I understand that some of you don't have that kind of heart or that kind of leadership. I have that. I can walk away. Okay? Because I have immersed myself in the scriptures and what the Lord says I should be doing. Moses knew the value of a strong family. A strong family is one where you can rely on each member. Moses was in a very tight situation. Now, I don't know what happened to Zipporah. I would think, facing the same situation, if I tell my wife that, I would think, and I think, as I know my wife, I'll be right on this one. So don't disagree with me on this one. You are not allowed. You know. I think if I tell my wife, Anne, I'm going to be in a very difficult and challenging situation, you go to your kuya and stay there for a year. I think she will insist and she will not allow me to do that. I think she will stay with me. You know. I am also convinced that my kids will stay with me. Okay? Especially Joel. But that is just my take on this one. But Zipporah went along. Okay, Moses, bye-bye. I do not know what it did to Moses. Okay, maybe that's the reason why after Zipporah died, he got remarried right away to this Ethiopian beauty, you know. Moses got remarried right away, and because of that, there were complaints in the leadership. Now, the names of thank God for Jethro, the names of the sons of Moses represents his life and his struggle. Now, when you solicit the help of your in-law, okay, listen to this. That's time limited. After Moses exited, and by the way, from the time he went to what place is this? Egypt. And then we were talking about there have been 2.5 months. Remember the last time? From leaving Egypt. You are talking about less than 1 year here. Now you are out. You are no longer in Egypt. A lot of the dangers are gone. Moses, I cannot take care of your family. The family should stay together. I am moneyed because Jethro is rich. I am moneyed. I can take care of my grandchildren. I can take care of my daughter. But this is not right. Okay, you are taking care of a big nation. Why can't you take care of you only have 2 lousy kids and 1 wife. If you can take care of 3 million people, why can't you take care of... Now, that's another thing. How can you be taking care of others when you are not taking care of your family? You see? So Jethro said, without the permission of Moses, without consulting Moses, there was no email, no cell phone. He decided to say, I'm going to return Zipporah and two boys. I don't care how much I love them. To you, Moses, that's your family. Now, this is a responsible in-law because he knew he can make Moses depend on him so much that he cuts his legs. You see? So, was the problems of Moses still? Yes, 3 million people to take care of. That's a huge responsibility. But he said, if you cannot take care of your immediate family. Now that is a big lesson for us. You get married, you better be sure you can take care of your family. And don't depend on your in-laws to take care of your own responsibility. In times of crisis, they can be called upon to help, but not always. Jethro knew, being a leader in their tribe, high priest, he knew the extent of what he should be doing. Now remember, knowing that Jethro is rich, he can raise 20 more children. 10 more wives. He can do that. But right is right. Right is not determined by your financial, kaya ko naman eh. No, that's not it. Each person must learn to live by faith and carry their own weight. Okay? So now Jethro is coming to Moses. The initial task of Moses is done. Now he's bringing back the family of Moses to him. So help from our families have limits. Moses understands this. He did not whine. Hindi siya nagtampo na, tatay naman, laik ko pang responsibility. Jethro understands this also. Even though he loves his daughter and grandsons, he knew that they belong to Moses. He should never hold on to something that is not his. Moses knew this. I told you, when the Lord blessed me with grandchildren, I'll spoil them. But they will not be my children. Meaning, my children can pull them away from me. That's their decision. Okay? I'll just remove them from the will, So they will suffer even more. But what kind of a leader will it be for Moses if he can take care of a nation but cannot take care of his own family? Are you listening? Or you're trying to fall asleep now? It will be bad. One of the complaints of Anne to me is, she said, if a member of the church asks for your counseling and help, you pay attention immediately. And she'll tell you this, I have a need. How come you can't pay attention to me right away? That's one of the complaints that she had. I never heard that from her anymore because now I have a complaint to her. So we're even now. But that is a struggle. In the New Testament, that was never erased. You have he who cannot, you can't erase this, he who cannot manage his own family, how can he manage the church of God? One of the things that I look at when somebody wants to be a leader in this church is I look at the family. You will never find a perfect family, knowing that my family is not perfect. But you should have, if you're going to be a leader in the church, you should have some control or leadership over your own family. If you cannot have that, you cannot be a leader. Now others will make you a leader, but it will be a poor leadership. You are already decapitated. Now in verse 7 to 8, we see the humility of Moses. He gave his father-in-law the proper respect. He went out to meet him, bowed down to him, and kissed him. Listen, at this point, leadership-wise, Moses is 1,000,000 times bigger than Jethro. He is handling a nation. He's talking to God. He did not say, hey, Dan, I'm, I'm, the, I'm the de facto president of Israel now. You know, normally, he's a big shot now. He will have guards, he will have Joshua or Aaron or somebody meet Jethro and say, hey, there's a protocol now, okay? You cannot just approach Moses. No, Moses met him. Bow down to him. I mean, with all respect, and kissed him. Traditional Near Eastern way of welcoming people. This is the least that Moses can do for the goods he did for him and his family. This is debt of gratitude. You know, I think gratitude to in-laws is one of the most neglected thing in the family. Yeah. And I think sometimes our in-laws are doing something for us and we are not even grateful. One thing, I told my wife this, and my wife knows this. I am very grateful for my in-laws for the way they preserved my wife. Yeah. I married a virgin. I did not marry a loose woman. She was well protected. Yeah. They handed to me, unwillingly it may be, a precious woman. Okay. If my in-laws are alive, well, even when they were alive, they can walk straight, knowing that they handed to me a pure person. Yeah. And so that is one of the things that I'm very grateful for. Moses is a national hero whom God speaks face to face, yet he is still grounded. Now, this is leadership. He's still grounded. He knew that he is not higher than his father-in-law. He may be the head of this nation now, but he is never high. The father-in-law did not bow down to him as head of the nation. He bowed down to him as the head of his family. Now remember this. Even in an extended family thing, Jethro is over Moses. When Joseph gets married, I don't care if he's promoted in the military, I am the head of this big family, not Joseph. When I die, Joseph takes over the leadership of my family, not my wife. Joseph takes over the leadership. If he remains responsible and keeps his faith in God. He doesn't preserve that, John takes over. That's just the way it is. It will be a person of faith who will take leadership in my family when God takes me home. And because Joseph is a man of faith, he takes over. He's my firstborn. Okay? I don't know how you're going to deal with that when he's instead of this outfit, you know. Then Jethro shows what kind of a father he is. He's also a very humble man. First of all, he rejoiced over all the good things that God did for Israel. You know, some parents, you report to them good things. Okay lang yan. Jethro was rejoicing. You know, sometimes you testify to other people, it seems like they're not even happy that you testify that the Lord is blessing you, they're not even happy. Some parents will make it appear they will always be above you. Not Jethro. He rejoiced over all the good things God did for Israel. Then he blessed the Lord. Then he offered burnt offering and sacrifice to God. Then Jethro fellowship with his family and all the elders of Israel. You know. And that's the value of having a godly father-in-law, because your father-in-law not only should embrace your family, but your extended family. He fellowshiped with the elders of Israel, with Aaron, with you can bet the 70 elders and all of those things. Iron sharpens iron. This is what we can observe now from verses 13 to 26. Yeah. Jethro observed what is going on in the camp as Moses attends to the needs of the people, being a seasoned leader himself. And by the way, this is when you know that there is a very good relationship between Moses and Jethro. When Moses was judging the people, you can bet the people were happy. Maybe frustrated because of the long line, but happy. And maybe the other leaders were complimenting Moses. But Jethro has just delivered his daughter and his 2 grandchildren. Moses stood early in the morning, sat on his office, and a long line, a mile-long line. Maybe they have a number for counseling. Now, Jethro was looking at that and saying, first thing in the morning he did that. Did he kiss his wife already? Did he brush the teeth of his sons? Did he give them breakfast? And he observed until evening and said, he didn't even come home. Who gave his food? Maybe Zipporah brought the food or something. This is not good. So perhaps while having the adulation of the other leaders, Jethro went to Moses and said, Moses, what you're doing is not good. It's not good for you and it's not good for the people. Can you imagine this long line? This is not good. Okay? So please, can you take counsel from me? Parents who cannot take counsel from their godly in-laws are full of pride. Now Moses could have told Jethro, hey Dad, how many people in your tribe are you leading? 20? 200? Dad, this is 3 million. He didn't say that. He said, well, Dad, from your experience, what can you say? This is when you know, I'll tell you this. I think if married couples will just learn how to listen to the wisdom of their in-laws who serve God, it will go well with you. For example, I'm observing Val here with Anna May, and your mother-in-law when she visits, it's a big blessing, you know. And you talk to her. She's a very happy woman, travels around. And then I go to their province, the relationship that I see that they have. It's a tremendous blessing. You will not always see that. Some have a bad relationship. I even see partially the family of Brother Lawrence and Sister Ludi, and it seems like they have a good relationship also. You know, if your in-laws are serving the Lord, it's a tremendous blessing. It will be wrong for any couple to ignore that. Look, what you're doing is not good. You will wear yourself out and the people with you. The task is too heavy for you. You cannot do it alone. This is what Jethro told Moses. And he listened. Suggestions from Jethro, or rather counsel from Jethro, is valuable to Moses. Moses gives counsel. He should be able to take counsel. This counsel is prefaced with a prayer, God be with you. Jethro was not opposing his relationship with God. He is supporting it. Now this is the counsel, okay? Select the right leaders who will carry the burden of leadership with you, with the right qualifications. Yeah. By the way, in my own little world, this is how I try to do it. You know, when some of our leaders left, of course, I have the pressure to replace them. I really don't. This is how I feel. I really don't. Because I'll tell you this, some of the leaders that left, they cannot manage their house. It's a good riddance. You know, if you cannot control your son, your daughter, it disqualifies them from leadership. If you can't control your wife or your husband, disqualifies them from leadership. And when people come and they want to be leaders, I really look at the family. Can you manage your house? Can you manage your finances? Now, me and my wife may not have much to begin with, but we really did our best to manage our house. And even in finances, we have borrowed a lot of money from people, family members, and non-family members. We have paid them all. Yeah. We have paid them all. We can manage our finances and from very little, our finances had blossomed. The Lord has blessed us. Look, these are simple qualifications which was echoed by the apostles, actually, in terms of selecting deacons. And it should answer some of your questions why I am not that eager in putting new leadership. Look at this. This is all this. Able men, God-fearing, trustworthy, hates dishonest profit. You are the New Testament full of wisdom, full of the Holy Spirit, full of faith. Yeah. These are leadership qualifications that have been ignored largely by the general church. We just take on leaders now that have education and looks good. But leadership qualification is much more. Look at this, able men, God-fearing, trustworthy. Place these qualified men to respective positions of authority. Now, because we're talking about family, some of us will limit our leadership progress because we did not manage our family. I'll tell you this, I can stand before pastors anywhere in the world. Yeah. And in few countries which I have been, I have done that. And say, manage your own house. Discipline your kids, because I do. Yeah. A lot of leaders that I have met, good leaders, can't even talk like that because they have mismanaged their houses. Now, men can promote you, but God will not. Because God will never, remember, God is the one who sets these rules. God will never violate His own standards. Men can promote you, but God will not. Well, I have been promoted by my denomination, good for you, but not by God. Because God will never, listen to me, my faith in the book tells me this, God will never promote people who doesn't meet qualifications. Well, what about David? When God promoted him, he was okay. But what happened after he mismanaged his house? He was never able to extend his kingdom further. The people say that Solomon extended the kingdom of Israel. No, it's David who did. Solomon messed it up. That's why when he died, the kingdom split. Yeah. Why? He's got too many in-laws. Oh, each of those in-laws have demands. How many in-laws does he have? 1,000. 700 wives, 300 concubines. And by the way, those in-laws have their own outlaws. And they will influence you. That's why it's a mess. The man of wisdom, the man who's supposed to be the wisest king on earth, did some of the most foolish actions that any leader can do. Now, listen. I can make immediate applications, even on politics. A lot of our political leaders are helpless because they are highly, highly compromised. Yeah. And so, for the immediate future of the church, we need to raise leaders in this house with good families. I'm not saying perfect, but with good families. And I'll tell you this now. You don't manage your house, you will not be able to move forward in leadership under God. Man can promote you, God will not. Moses, the obedience of Moses to this instruction, according to the Bible, will give him the ability to endure and for the people to be satisfied. I have a friend. We became pastors at the same time. He's with the Lord now. I was head of missions, and I visited his church. And his wife lost it in front of everybody. She cried. Shortly thereafter, my friend was removed from his post. I have seen. I'm only around 59, but I have seen good leaders got ruined because of bad marriage. I have seen good leaders get ruined, undisciplined children. Yeah. And I have seen in-laws hold it, and I have seen in-laws destroy it. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. It's a blessing when you have family members like Jethro, who possesses the wisdom of God. Again, there are those who grew old getting more foolish than in their younger years. Yeah, I can certainly understand youthful problems. But for goodness sake, if you're already old and you're still playing with the devil, you don't qualify, you know. Now, again, men can promote you, but God will not. As I know God, God will never promote you. Because a lot of the promotions that we see today are actually human promotion. Yeah. Can you imagine the President of the U.S. right now? Can you imagine if Trump have a son with that case? He'll be all over the headline. The president we have right now is promoted by the people. Yeah. He certainly doesn't have the qualifications that God said a leader should have. And a lot of our leaders are like that. Okay, politically and otherwise. After this, look at this. Jethro did a tremendous leadership contribution. Very good. Moses started this leadership assignment because of Jethro. And after Jethro did that, what did Jethro say? Okay, Moses, you're done. I'm going home. He left. Okay? Meaning a good father-in-law will never make you dependent on him. He left. Okay, Moses, bye-bye. I have my own little tribe to take care of. I'm the high priest. He's not even the chieftain. I'm the high priest. I gave you my wisdom. Now you're on your own. After this, what happened? What happened to Jethro? He died. He's gone. He never kept coming back. Until Zipporah died. Also, never kept coming back. Yeah, that's a good in-law right there. He knows when to step in. He knows when to step back. Some of you are not married yet, and you're having this teaching. Be careful whom you marry. Make sure that you marry a Christian, and you will be blessed if you have godly in-laws. If your in-laws are serving the devil, you better not be trapped in serving the devil too. I will never finance demonic activities. Yeah. And we're not supposed to do that. So, quick lessons on leadership. This Sunday, we'll talk about the truth will set you free. Okay? So, did you learn something tonight? I could be more aggressive on this one, but the American family is broken. I'm telling you this. But it's not an excuse for us to be broken. We are children of God. Let's follow the right path. Amen. 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 Let's all stand.